Good evening. Today is the 35th day of the Omer. The next topic discussed in Perek Vav Mishnah Vav of Pirkei Avos, which discusses the various different traits needed to acquire Torah, is Hamisrachik min hakavod, running away from honor, distancing oneself from honor. The classic example of running away from honor is when a person sees people sitting in the path, in the way, on the road, and in order to avoid them having to stand up for him, he goes out of his way and takes a different route. We see from there that even if it's deserving, one should still distance oneself from honor. This person knows that if he walks by, they're going to stand up, meaning he deserves the covet, he deserves the honor, and still he's going to go out of his way to walk in a different direction. Another thing that the commentator discusses is one of the reasons why having a desire for honor or needing honor is a bad trait, especially when it comes to acquiring Torah, is if a person feels like he needs to be respected or he wants honor in such a tremendous way, he might feel like he can't go to somebody who's younger, somebody maybe that he might think is smaller than he is, and gain knowledge from them. He won't go to a younger rabbi or a younger friend that might be able to help him or teach him in a different area because he feels like it would be belittling for him to go to someone that's younger than he is. The basics for covet that I'm going to discuss tonight come from a book called Olam Hamidos, written by Rabbi Kestenbaum from Waterbury, and he discusses the trait of honor and some of the goods and some of the bads that come with it. And he brings us back in the very beginning. He brings us back to an actual Mishnah in Pirkei Avos. It's Perek Daled, Mishnah Chav Aleph, and it says that Hakina v'hataiva v'hakavod motzian es adam min olam. That kina, taiva, and kavod, which is the honor we're talking about, these three things remove a person from the world. And he quotes the Tiferes Yisrael, which says that the world that's referring to is both worlds, the Olam Haba, the next world, and Olam Hazeh, this world. And in explaining what he means, he discusses that Olam Haba, the way it removes you from Olam Haba, is actually twofold. In Bein Adam L'Makom, between man and God, and also between Bein Adam L'Chaver, between man and man. Bein Adam L'Makom, we can see it clearly that if a person is always worried about what other people think about him, he can easily not do a mitzvah that might present itself to him, or he might actually do an aveira, do a sin, if it's before him, if by doing that he will gain the respect of others and gain the honor of others. Additionally, bein adam l'chaveiro, if a person feels like people need to respect him, many cases we've seen where people might put someone else down in order to lift himself up. So by wanting the honor, by wanting the respect of the people around him, he might speak lashon hara, speak rechilas, talk bad about other people in order to raise himself up in the esteem of others. Obviously, there's also issues of machlokes. He might have baseless hatred towards somebody who doesn't show him the proper respect that he wants. So all of these things are ways that he engages with other people, and they're negative because of the fact that he needs this honor, he needs this respect. Bein Adam Hazeh is a little bit more difficult, but we can see it clearly if we look what he quotes in Koheles. It says, a person who loves money will never be satisfied with money, and he relates that to covet as well. Yesh lo mana rotze matayim. A person has $100, he wants $200. So he says too, with any type of desire, any type of taiva, covet comes along with that also. A person who wants honor, he'll never be satisfied with the honor that he has. He'll always want more and more and more honor. So he removes himself from this world because he'll never be happy. Never be happy with the honor that he has. In the book, he discusses an actual positive trait of covet, and it's actually what's known as covet atzmi. When a person has inner respect, an inner sense of self-esteem, an inner sense of worth, and he discusses that to have that, it can't be dependent on anything else. It has to be dependent on my own sense of value, that I know what I'm doing is right and good and towards a good end, and I'm not concerned with what other people think about me. He says, when you know that you're working hard towards something, whatever it is, whatever end it is that you set for yourself, then you're able to develop within yourself a self-respect that no one else can give you and no one else can take away from you. Additionally, he mentions that this is not a contradiction to humility. A person can be very humble, and that is how he acts towards other people or with other people, and at the same time have much self-respect and how he feels about himself and his own accomplishments. He discusses another point of what's called, it's discussed in Mesil Shasharim, and he says, Kol haboreach min hakavod hakavod rodev achrav. Anyone who runs away from kavod, so the kavod, the honor, will run after him. And he actually learns this from Mesil Shasharim Gemara and Erevin, that anybody who runs after greatness, the greatness will run away from him. Anyone who runs away from greatness, so the greatness will run after him. He says the same thing by kavod. If you run towards kavod and you're always looking for respect, then people will catch on and see that that's what you want, that's what you really need, and they won't actually respect you for it. They'll realize that everything that you do is just for the wrong reasons to gain respect, and they won't respect you. They'll catch on to the game that's going on. On the other hand, if you do things for the right reason, you're not concerned with what everyone else thinks, so people will also catch on eventually to that also and realize that what you're doing is sincere and wholehearted, and they'll respect you for that. So anyone who runs after kavod, anyone who runs after honor, the honor is going to run away from him, and then the vice versa is true also. I think in sum, when we discuss he discusses the two dangers of kavod. And one danger, he says, is that if people don't give you kavod, the honor that you think you really deserve, so that can have a negative effect on you because you'll feel unimportant. If your only sense of importance and sense of self-worth comes from how other people view you, so when they don't give you respect and they don't give you an honor, that's an indication to you that maybe you're not really worth anything. And that's a tremendous problem. And the flip side to that is true also. He says if everybody's giving you honor and everybody's giving you respect, you might come to a point where you feel that you have nothing left to work on and no other traits that you need to make better. And that is a separate problem, but it's an additional problem. And I think if those two things combined is what the Mishnah might be referring to, is regarding specifically the acquisition of Torah. To be Kona Torah, a person really needs to have two things. He has to have a tremendous self-worth. He has to know that what he's doing is important, the learning that he's engaging in is valuable, and he needs to have that from within himself, not worried and concerned what the rest of the community might think about him or what his friends might be doing instead of learning. And at the same time, on the other side is true also. A person also needs to always realize that even though everything he's doing is very valuable and he has that self-worth, he also needs to realize that there's always more to correct. And even if people are respecting him and giving him honor and giving him praises all day long, he still needs to know that he has a lot to work on. And those two things, the concept of needing to work more and more and more, and the concept of knowing that what I'm doing is valuable, those two things I think are a prerequisite to be Kona Torah.